What's happening, everyone? Nicky Hawkins here, West Ham Fan TV, back once again with another video. I'm here with probably the person I least want to see at the moment, doing a match preview. My old mate Paul. It's been a while since you've been on this channel. Paul Machin from the brilliant Redmen TV. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
You're
It's
fucking good.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, like I used to talk about, this is our 10th year on YouTube, and when we first started, we just sacked Rafa Benitez, we just hired Roy Hodgson, and we were months away from like Liverpool literally nearly going into liquidation, and we covered all of that. So yeah, I think I feel like we've come out the other side. I finally get to see a little bit of success that we've been kind of hoping for this whole time. No, it's been a much more pleasant season than it certainly was at the start.
Of course, yeah. Well, I've got to say, big congratulations for the season. You know, it's amazing at the moment. Um, I asked this to Chris last time. What sort of form do we find Liverpool in?
Well, you're lucky because we've just lost the game of football, which doesn't happen too often. Obviously, we had Atletico Madrid in the Champions League in midweek. We went away to the Wanda Metropolitano, and we weren't great. We kind of fell foul a little bit of European refereeing, in addition to a lot of the absolute top notch, and I say this with respect, top notch grade A shithousery from Atletico, playing the game to the absolute, using scratching every inch out of the game that you possibly can. Now that, I don't know whether that works in your favour or works in our favour, because Liverpool don't tend to lose two. I don't think Liverpool have ever lost two games back to back under Jurgen Klopp. So that would be a thing. But it's not necessarily about losing. I guess it does open the door. Have Atletico shown a little bit of a way to get under Liverpool's skin? Could be something that Moyes maybe looks to take advantage of.
I can't see that Paul myself. I think he can see
Come
what
on, mate.
place. No, honestly, I can't. Honestly, you say that. I just think he's going to have one way to set up. How will you set up? Same way you set up all season.
Yeah, well, Liverpool will be without Jordan Henderson, who picked up a hamstring injury in midweek, and that's a really big loss for us. He's been pivotal to us this season. He's been an absolute giant in the midfield. He's played in the six. He's played in a more box to box role, and he's been great in both of them. But we have got Fabinho back, who I think is probably on his day our best DM anyway. It's then just a question of what we do in the midfield, because I think the back five, including the goalkeeper, picks itself. If Salah, Mane, and Firmino are fit, they'll all play. It's then who we then pick as the three in the midfield. Fabinho probably starts, and then it's how attacking we want to go, really. Gini Wijnaldum, he loves, and he's a brilliant footballer. If he wants to be solid, you could see Milner come in there, you could see Wijnaldum in there. But if he really wants to go for it, which I think Liverpool fans are hoping he will, we could see Oxlade-Chamberlain come in, we could see Naby Keita come back in, and I think that's what we're hoping for. It tends to be somewhere in between, so it's probably going to be Fabinho, Wijnaldum, plus whoever's impressed most in trading, so Ox or Keita.
Well, the Ox has had some good successes against us in the last few years as well, hasn't he? He's played very well against us, so I would be expecting to see him. What do you make about the debacle at West Ham at the moment, mate? It's a bit of a mess down here. I'm just interested to see what outsiders think.
Yeah, it does. I can't help, and obviously a lot of it. I follow you guys on Twitter, and obviously all of you guys independently as well. So I see a lot of the stuff that you guys are talking about and what have you, and it doesn't make for good reading. And sometimes that's just a bubble thing, isn't it? Where you only you get a certain set of opinions. You're not seeing the broader picture. But even from the outside looking in, I don't think Moyes is a good enough manager to be playing at a level that you guys want to be at. Again, your owners are knobheads. That's quite clear and has been quite clear for a while. I've been inside that stadium. It's not a great fit as a football stadium, let alone as a West Ham stadium. So no, I appreciate the troubles that you're going through, and the only note of encouragement, it was kind of what I was sort of driving at the start, is that these things can be turned around, but they don't just turn around by luck or by chance. It needs planning. It needs a long-term vision in place. It needs people that the fans can trust. And I think the problem you've got is that you're being asked to trust. Trust has to be earned. You know, and like, okay, Jurgen Klopp came in with a reputation, which helps. That helps. So that always helps. Get a guy who's respected already. That buys you time. When you're getting in guys who, you know, you're getting a guy who's already been, the fans have already been told that Moyes isn't the right man.
Yeah.
Because he's been there and gone already. You know, Quique Sanchez Flores had this at Watford. You need a guy that you can trust, that you can get behind, and then you can allow mistakes, because at least you know you're on a path to something.
Yeah.
But at the minute, it doesn't look like, it just looks so disjointed from top to bottom.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, what is going on at the minute is going on, is that there is no trust. I think the trust is completely gone from board level. We can't trust them to sort out the infrastructure. You can't trust them to employ the right people. You can't trust them picking managers. And I think they feel the same, if that makes sense. They think that we haven't got a clue what we want or anything like that. Listen, a couple of years ago, Paul, one thing I wanted to get off here before we went, there was some protests at Liverpool with the walkouts and all of that sort of stuff against the owners. You was very disjointed with your owners. What did you guys do about that sort of thing? I remember the walkout, but what other pressures did you put on to get them to sort of relinquish control?
Well, it's interesting because obviously, you know, I mentioned it 10 years ago, we had guys called Hicks and Gillette in charge, who performed like a leverage buyout of the club, saddled the club with loads of debt, a bit like what the Glazers have done to Manchester United. And, you know, the Liverpool was basically just pissing money up the wall, servicing the debt, as opposed to making the football club better. Now, Liverpool fans got organised. You had football supporters group, Spirit of Shankly got together. There was marches, there were protests. It was a very visible presence at the ground and outside the ground, and, you know, letter writing campaigns and trying to get in the faces of the owners, trying to make it life as uncomfortable for them as possible. That was a very old school way of doing things, and Liverpool's a very old school. It's a very union city, you know what I mean? It's that, you know, a very socialist city. It's got that root of that spirit of independence within it, which we kind of fed into. When they moved on and the current owners took over, it meant we had one eye on it still, and we've kind of taken them to task. They've been fantastic owners for the club. You know, they've not overspent. They've put a solid business model in place, but they've misstepped a number of occasions. And the Liverpool fans have gotten together, and the walkout protest, which you referred to, was they were going to charge £77 for a ticket, and that was breaking point. And so Liverpool fans got organised, and they staged this walkout on 77 minutes. And I remember people saying, "It's just stupid. What are you doing? Like, you've got to support the team. You can't walk away from the team. You've got to be behind them at all times." And you know, and the thing is, though, I said to you over on our channel, some things are more important than one game of football. And I know we're bred to believe that every kick of the ball is the most important thing, like it's life or death, but it's not. Sometimes you've got to think about the long-term health of your football club. And, you know, swathes of Liverpool fans walked out of that game. It was a big, noticeable, tangible thing. And I think Liverpool ended up drawing that game as well. So, like, it all... I think that's right anyway. There was a tangible impact as well. It actually had a negative impact on the pitch. Yeah. And some people say that's a bad thing, but it showed the power that fans can have, whether that was by luck or by circumstance. But, you know, and I saw a lot of people then who had originally said, don't do that, it's a waste of time, your voice doesn't matter, it'll never change anything. It did, it worked, and the owners conceded and changed their minds and ended up entering into a discussion which is ongoing now about making sure ticket prices are more affordable, which is great.
That's the thing, is because, as you said, it's a very socialist city. Unions and all of that sort of stuff have been synonymous with Liverpool. You know, always fighting, always, you know, raging against the machine, as you would put it. I think that we need to organise something like that. But the problem is with us, is we can't afford to have a negative impact on the pitch at the moment in the position we're in if we want to stay in the Premier League. Yeah. But if this comes to a sort of head and we get relegated before the last game, I'll tell you, I worry. I was there for Burnley, and Burnley greatly upset me. If we go down, I think they won't need the police, they'll need the army. I think it's going to be that toxic. But I just hope that everybody, keeps this in mind that, we need to take the upper hand and there is ways to fight it. And I think Liverpool led the way in that sort of protest.
The problem you've got, and as a father, mate, you'll know this, is like when things become the most difficult, you when things reach breaking points and you need to get a grip, you're normally weakest. You normally have got the least fight in you. And that's the problem you've got, is that an example of, like, you're not sleeping, your kid's not sleeping, you've got to do control crying, or you've got to get a grip, and what you're going to do is you're going to lose a week of sleep when you can't lose any more sleep. You are at the worst you've ever been. You can't even fathom putting yourself in a situation where it's going to make it worse. But sometimes you have to make it worse to make it better. You've got to sacrifice something in the short term. And I am fully appreciative of this, because that Premier League survival is so important. It's the lifeblood. There's so much money involved in all of it, and there's a fear every football club and every football fan has, is that it's all well and good going down if you're guaranteed to come back up again. Hey, who's asked? But you're not guaranteed to come back up again. So I appreciate the situation the fans are in, but inevitably a stand's going to have to be taken. And the problem is that you can take a stand now, or, well, look, you might get relegated anyway. And when do you take a stand? Because all of a sudden you're in a relegation fight in the Championship. You probably won't be. You probably come straight back up. But what if? And then you'd go and, well, we've got to stay in the Championship, so we can't afford to do something then. There is no easy answer to this problem. It's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of pain, but the results can be worth the effort expended.
Back to the football, mate. How do you see this one?
I'm looking forward to this game. I think we've having had the disappointments in the Champions League. It's nice that we've kind of got to refocus ourselves on the Premier League, where we've been astounding. We've been breaking records week in, week out. It being a Monday night, it being under the lights, I think is the perfect environment for us really at the moment. I think Moyes will do everything in his power to frustrate us, because I think that's all he's kind of got left in his locker at this point. But there's a real opportunity for Liverpool fans to get back on side with it all, and to really to kind of roar the team home. So now there's an expectation on us to win, as there should be really at this point. Liverpool have got not just a title to win, but there's a chance for this side to etch its name into greatness. And I think with the probably licking the wounds a little bit after the Champions League, I wouldn't want to be West Ham at this point, if I'm being honest.
I'll trouble you for a score prediction.
I think it'll be. I've predicted 4-0 on our build-up show, but I could see a City if I take any win at this point, Nicky. To be honest, I'm not really that bothered about how heavy a win it is. But if Moyes wants to come and offer nothing, then I'd like him to get what he deserves. And when managers come and play anti-football, particularly when I think they have got the opportunity to go a little bit harder. Like Norwich came and gave us, we still stuck goals past them, but they came and gave it a go. And I think you can take heart from those things. I don't know, if he parks the bus and offers nothing, then I think it deserves to be a big score. Not for you guys, of course, but just because David Moyes is a prick.
I would say I'm going to say 3-0. I think it's just a step further than City. I think we're going to come there, do the same thing. We defended pretty well for about half an hour, but once the first one goes in, I think that's it. We offer nothing going forward, so I'm going to predict 3-0. Go and check out the Redmen TV. I was on there earlier on discussing the same thing, really. Give them a sub. They're always worth watching. Go and see a team that's winning for a change, I suppose. Thank you so much, Paul, for coming on. I've got one thing left to say, and I know you've got one thing left to say. I'll say, come on, you Irons, and you're going to say...
Oh, yeah, up the Reds.